Hey everybody, this is Killer Arcade Games. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Cade. If you're not sure what the heck the Cade is, maybe you're just finding the channel. This is my backyard arcade. It started out as a tough shed, which was what it was always going to be. Just bought the tough shed after doing a lot of research and said, okay, I can get the building built for this price. I know the price. I don't have to go through a weird contractor or anything. And I made sure to get a residential door so I could seal it all up. And off we went. Somehow I made this a reality, and we're a year in already. Now, I haven't been moved in for a whole year. I didn't move in. The building was just built on April 22nd, 2022. And the whole thing was planned to every last little bit. I planned it all ahead of time as much as I could anticipate. I've never built anything like this before. I've never done any construction kind of work like this. But I did the best I could, and almost everything went smoothly. Of course, there were a few surprises. Like, for one, I had no idea the building was going to sit this high off the ground, and that really added some issues, and I'm going to show you all that outside, but I think we've worked it all out. And what I thought I'd do in this video is basically go through the Cade inside and out and tell you guys how things have held up. We have had a few minor issues, nothing major thankfully, and a few surprises, but everything's still running smoothly. I'm streaming from here, I'm making videos in here, and I'm enjoying it as an arcade in my backyard. So let me flip the camera around and we'll do a quick tour. This is the arcade one upside, which is quickly dwindling. These keep getting sold off and moved out to make room for more big old arcades that I essentially love more. Now, I'll probably always keep the Carnival, but we can talk about that on another video. Let's see, has anything gone wrong inside? As far as I know, everything for the most part has worked really well. There's a few things I might have done differently, though. Here is my nerdy rock band setup, and yeah, I got a few nerdy stuffed animals. One of them is one I had when I was a little kid, but anyway... Here's my ridiculous rock band drumming setup, and I also play, regular drums on it. But anyway, one of the things I would have changed, and I wish I'd thought of this, because I did have these two nerdy lights. Yes, I have lights on when I play rock band. Excuse me for being a dork. But yeah, these react to sound, so when I'm playing the drums, they change and all that. It's fun. But I thought, I wish I would have thought to put an outlet maybe in the corner, just to plug them in up there. My neighbor could have easily done that for me, and for some reason I didn't think of it. So now we have an extension cord running down. I also have another light back there that lights the wall and all that. By the way, Lady Cade got me these. I've had these for a little while now. We finally got them mounted up here. This is a Better Call Saul art print and a Breaking Bad. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. Also love Better Call Saul. I also got the Salamanca twins or my wife did this one year for my birthday. Asked them on Instagram if they could sign something and send it to me, and they did. Very nice guys. Not nearly as awful as they are in the show. And over here, this is the TV I'm actually looking at when playing drums, playing rock band. These TVs are on an HDMI splitter. There's another light up here. Again, I don't think I would have anticipated that this would be here, but still, why didn't I think to put an outlet up there? And there's actually no outlet behind the TVs. That is not a planning issue. That is just a plan changed. The TV was originally supposed to go here. There is an outlet behind the Blake's Lottaburger bag. So it was gonna go right here, and I would just tilt it on a thing for when I play rock band, or tilt it that way when I'm hanging out watching TV in here. And I realized that was kind of dumb, because if I'm turning the camera this, or the TV this way and playing rock band, if anyone else is in the room, they have to stand at the front door to see the TV as well. So it was kind of dumb. I realized, why not go big, get two 50-inch TVs and just mirror them? Why not? Another thing I wish I'd thought about is, why didn't I just add shelving all the way across about a foot from the ceiling? I have one shelf up there now I've added later, but, it's kind of hidden. It's a thick, stupid IKEA shelf. I think I'm actually going to go back, pull all these games out, and install a thin shelf that goes all the way to the end there, so I can just put little things up there, like the Cubert New Wave machine they sent me for review. Zohar sent me the Katana over there. I've got my picture of me and Kitty Cag on the beach. I don't know what the heck we were thinking there. But anyway, I want to add stuff up there. I do have a shelf on this side, but this side's going to end up getting moved for real machines to sit there. So yeah, we're going to have to put all this stuff up there. That'll be in the future, though. I really don't have a lot of wall space open either at the moment, because the games just take up so much room. So anything I want on the walls has to go over here. So yeah, I think that's really it for the inside. Let's go outside. I want to show you around the Cade. A lot has changed out there. Landscaping has been done, a few other things, so let's go out there now. So one of the first things I want to change right away is this little path. This path takes me to the back of the house so I can get inside and all that. And a lot of times water does run through here. It comes out from under the fence, runs down this way and goes down under that fence. Ideally, we want to add a deck right here just so Lady Cade can enjoy her pizza oven without having to step on these janky bricks that used to be here for when we had a grill. And these just are kind of ugly. It would be cool to have a path coming off the deck that goes and meets the bottom of the stairs there, and I can just walk right into the Shedcade and not have to worry if it's soggy or cold or whatever. You know, these aren't great. They're not real well balanced. They were just put as a temporary fix. But here's the outside of the Shedcade. A few things you may notice right away is I finally stained this. We put more skirting material up to hide underneath the stairs, and the stain actually came out really nice. It was about an afternoon's worth of work, maybe a little touch up the next day. Looks a lot better now. No more, you can see the printing on the wood before, none of that stuff now. The water beads up on top of it. It's pretty nice. I think it should help keep the wood in good shape for a while. Speaking of water, when we started the process, I realized that, yeah, water is gonna come off of there and just splash all over the door. And we did have a leak initially. Finally figured it out myself. The builder couldn't figure it out, and I had to figure it out. But anyway, this diverts the water and it runs on either side of the deck. Now, we realized there's a problem with that later though. All the water coming off the roof was digging a trench right here as it fell off up there. And it was really starting to make it look bad. So I decided, let's put some landscaping rock out here. I'm a little annoyed with how this plastic edging is kind of warped already. We even went the extra mile and put a stake in at every single point to try to avoid that, but you know, stuff happens. It's not that big a deal. It's more function than trying to make it look pretty. Speaking of it not looking pretty, by the way, I'm shocked by how the grass is still growing out from under the shed. It's like this stuff will never die that was under there before. I'm gonna have to actually get some Roundup, I guess, and shoot it under that. I'd hoped through the winter it would die and not come back, but it is trying to come back. These little potted plants that Lady Cade put out here for me are to try to hide these are the anchor straps that hold the building down. I can go into more detail on that later in case you've never seen the channel or don't know what I'm talking about. I also roughly installed a little trim around the outside. I'm not good at that stuff, so it's as good as I can make it. Please don't laugh too much. And yes, my yard looks terrible right now, especially we had to put a little dirt over here. The yard has never really recovered after the building of the Shedcade. I mean, we trampled it for months, all through the hottest summer we've had in a long time. The internet trench really ruined a lot of the yard there, and it's not really come back. I mean, it's just looking rough. That's the power trench that really also ruined that part of the yard. So it's been a rough time for the lawn. I'm hoping it starts to come back soon. A lot of this terrible caliche dirt came up when I dug the trench, and it's just been a rough time for my lawn. So here's one problem we have had. This outlet is just meant for me to, you know, if I'm ever outside working on a cabinet, or maybe I just need to plug something in outside. My awesome neighbor who did all the electric work thought to put that out here. I never would have thought of that. He thought to do it for us, so massive thank you to him as usual. But I noticed one day the light was on, and I realized you can't reset it. We found out that this box, which is supposed to be waterproof, apparently leaked up here, and it ruined the outlet. Completely ruined it, so we had to replace it. But my neighbor used caulk, all kinds of stuff to like seal it up the best we could when we reinstalled it. And after a big rainstorm, it's held up nicely. There's been no issues of it not working anymore. Same thing here, rock garden on this side, also hiding one of the straps back there with more grass growing through. And yeah, so no more digging of a trench. As we come around the side of the Shedcade here, nothing really to report on this side. Anchor strap sticking out. What are you gonna do? I wish it looked a little prettier. So here's the back. I'm actually gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see it with a fisheye lens. Nothing on the back wall. I wanted it this way. Originally the AC was gonna come in the back here. Thankfully I realized that was a mistake early on, and we hid the machine back here, the unit, and then the piping goes around the side. But you may notice something odd. Why is there black rock back here? Well, again, digging of the trench from the rain. I didn't really care about back here because no one comes back here. But we ended up doing a landscaping project at the front of the house, which used a bunch of this black rock, and we had way too much. Just way too much. I couldn't get rid of it. We tried giving it away. No one took it. I said, let's just use some of that edging that we had left over, put it back here about a foot. That way when it rains, it doesn't ruin it. So this meets with the area that was always planned to be rocks, and that's why it's the same color as the front. It was all done at once. So now we have some black and white rock, and no big deal. I don't really care. It's function over looks, and we're at the back in between the fence. No one's coming back here. Here's the outdoor unit. I'm gonna come around this side of it. So we have had a problem with the air conditioner already. This is a Mitsubishi mini split installed by a professional who's a friend of mine, but I noticed one day it wasn't cooling very well, and it turns out vibration and things like that have actually had made a little bit of a connection leak right there, and we lost almost all of the Freon coolant, I should say. And it, yeah, kind of screwed me on that a little bit, but he came back, fixed it up for me, tightened it all down, and filled it up. Thankfully, knowing the guy helps a lot, because he probably could have charged me a ton of money for that, and he didn't. I'm hoping this doesn't happen again, but we'll have to just keep an eye on it. So if you are wondering why on earth I have these tie downs, I will explain that in just a second. But these are essentially to keep the building anchored to the ground. So I'm back in the shed, Cade. The reason for those is I live on this is something I've explained before, so I'm sorry if you guys are my usuals, but there's gonna be some people who find this randomly and be like, a backyard arcade, what's that about? I'm up on a big hill. My whole neighborhood sits really high up. One of the highest points in the city. We get a lot of wind. It's always windy here, which is kind of nice, but it's also kind of bad. So when the building was built, I had no idea it was gonna sit this high. I had no plan to make skirting like that or anything, so we had to come up with all these plans last minute. And after we did all that, I realized, gosh, I'm a little paranoid. If we get a big storm like we have had in the past where it blows section of my fence down, I mean, we've had 60, probably 80-mile-per-hour winds here sometimes, and I don't want this building to shift. I started looking at it. If it shifts just a tad, I mean, you might be able to, I might have a video of what it looked like before. I'll overlay it if I do. If it shifts just a tad, it could knock it off, and it could cause serious structural damage, of course. Not only that, once I once I put these expensive arcades in here, especially my beloved Killer Instinct cabinet, I risk damaging all of them. I mean, potentially losing them. And sure, the building's insured, and the stuff inside's insured too, but it's not like I can just go to Walmart and say, give me a new Killer Instinct, unless I want, one of those, which those don't come close to the quality of this, and I'm not going to be able to do that. So anyway, I got paranoid essentially, and I said, I've got to figure out a way to anchor this. Started looking at how they anchor buildings and mobile homes, and I found those. And I realized I cannot get them in the ground unless they're on the outside of the building. So unfortunately, they had to be on the outside of the building. But it gives me a whole lot more peace of mind. I have, let's see, I think there's 7 of them around the building. And this is a 12 by 18 foot shed, and these things are anchored and bolted into the frame of the building. So I don't think that I don't think it's gonna go anywhere unless we get like a massive tornado-like wind. And even then it may just damage the upper portion of the building. But still, I still grip and like tighten up like, oh God, if a storm's coming, like please don't destroy my arcade that I somehow made a reality. And speaking of making it a reality, thank you guys so much for all the support. I firmly believe that I would not have this if it weren't for people like you guys watching the videos. Now, that said, YouTube did not pay for this building. I wish I was at that level. If I was at that level, that would be awesome, but it helped. It definitely helped in donations, super chats while I'm live streaming. People just watching the video. Like I said before, I get a teeny amount of ad money. It all adds up at the end of the month, and it gave me more freedom to buy stuff. But I also firmly believe that if I had not had the channel, there's no way I would have even considered attempting this building. It just never would have worked. Why would I be able to talk my wife into being like, hey, I think I need a backyard arcade? She probably wouldn't have argued with me, but she'd been like, how the heck are you going to pay for it? Thank you guys for watching. It really helps out. So yeah, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to update you guys in another year on the Shedcade. Let's hope everything is really going as well as it is now. There's been no cracks, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Just checking. There's been no cracks or anything in the drywall. It's all holding up really well. I worried that the building would settle. It may have settled a little bit, but there's been no visible evidence of it, thankfully. And no problem. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up for the Shedcade anyway. I still can't believe this thing's real. I have an arcade, a full-on, it's not huge, but I have an arcade in my backyard, which blows my mind. I always say if I could get a hold of a 12-year-old me playing Killer Instinct in the arcade and said, hey, one day you're going to have an arcade in your backyard and you're going to have a Killer Instinct among other games that you love with more on the way, I probably would have kicked you in the nuts and said you're a bold-faced liar and get out of here. Don't even give me that nonsense. But yeah, it happened, and here we are. So thank you guys for helping out with that dream. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the Shedcade, how things have held up. I think we did a pretty good job. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.